Finding Jesus Monday through Friday. This is a little series we began on Easter Sunday. And the idea behind the series is that if Jesus Christ rose from the dead, it's not just something nice we talk about on the weekend services, on Saturday afternoon or on Sunday morning, and then we put it away till the next week. It's not something that's not part of our flesh and blood reality Monday through Friday, because if Jesus Christ rose from the dead, and he did, the stone was rolled away, the tomb was empty, the body was gone, people's lives were changed. From cowards, they became heroes and willingly laid down their lives, right? We have primary source eyewitness materials that tell us again and again that Jesus Christ is alive. If Jesus Christ is alive, and he is, then it's not just about today saying, woohoo. It's just not about saying, oh, isn't that nice, and it's comforting. It's about Jesus Christ being with us every single day of our lives. Everything we do here, he goes with us out there. Every gift that he gives us here, through this wonderful reality of his resurrection, we take into our lives, into our families, into the closest of our relationship with our friends, where we work, where we play, with our neighbors, in our community, in our world. If Jesus Christ is alive, he's not just a Saturday and Sunday Jesus that we say, woohoo, when we worship. But rather, he's the reality we live in every single day of our lives. Can I get an amen? Amen. That's the reality of this series, okay? You know, I've never done that. That's pretty good. Okay. Today, it's finding success and connectedness Monday through Friday. You know, one of the neat things about doing what I do is that I get to think about this stuff before I talk. I actually do think about this stuff before I talk about it. And I thought about this idea, success and connectedness. What I mean by this theme is not success and connectedness. I mean somehow organically these are tied together. Okay, like success / connectedness. And it's not the same thing, but they organically are tied together. And this is what Jesus is going to hold up to us today as a gift of the resurrection. Okay? As I thought about this, I thought about, I look back on my life, right? Grade school. You know, in grade school, it's all about you, right? And you say, and even high school, right? Woohoo, all these great things I'm going to do. I don't remember any of those things. Nothing, nada, not a thing. But I remember the people. My class was real small, a class of like 21, 22, and we went to school 8 years in a row. And boy, do I remember the people. I remember Dom and Dwayne and Jim and Trish and KJ and Lauren, right? And when I say that, I smile because, man, it was great. We were as buddies. We were friends, you know? And when I went to high school, I don't remember any of the great things you did, right? These things that were so important, I don't remember any of them. I remember the people. I remember a guy named Jim who was there when I really needed a friend. I remember guys I played ball with. I remember Ernie Perez. And I used to go to his house, and his mom made homemade taquitos. Awesome stuff, right? She opened her home to the white kid, you know? It was amazing, yeah. I remember the folks that I went to college with, David Verdessier, just a great guy, and guys I worked with during college. A couple of them contacted me after I came here about 10 years ago, and they had both become Christians. Scott and Bob. It was amazing. Tony Espinosa, guy I worked with, I got invited to his wedding, and I'll never forget his dad. He's about 4'2", and he we were all kind of at the reception, and he walked around with a pitcher of beer just making sure that nobody was empty, you know? And the mariachi band was playing, and I looked around, and I felt so privileged. I was the only honky there, yeah. You remember relationships. People, you think about the seminary, and you study real hard, and you learn lots of stuff, but there was a bunch of us, our friends, we were all having babies. And I got this one picture. There's 4 gals on the couch. We're having over for burgers. And they all have blankets over their shoulders because they're all breastfeeding, you know? It was just an amazing time of relationship. And I remember that with the congregation I served in Denver. And you all, even the people I get to work with now, Melissa and Matt and Becca, it's about connecting relationship. It's about what life is, isn't it? And then obviously with your families, right? With your family, with your husbands and wives and children and parents and extended family, brothers and sisters. Do you get what I'm saying? All the sandcastles we build, all the great achievements we go after, they kind of fade. But the people we connect with, that's what seems to stand. It's the relationship. I put it this way. It's not about the what. It's not about what we do that gives us success in life. And when we tie ourselves to that, we're always disappointed. It's like when Tom Brady, I think the first or second time he won the Super Bowl, they interviewed him, and I'll never forget that. He said, well, it's not as good as I thought it would be. In fact, I guess the best thing I can go do is try to win another one. But, man, this is just not as fulfilling. Have you ever had that experience? You get to the mountain, man. You get everything you want. That's all there is, huh? It's not about the what, see, success. But rather, it's about the why, and here we go. And the why is always about relationship. It's always about relationship. What's really interesting to me is that when you read the Bible, in the very beginning it says we were created for relationship. In fact, in a real way, to be fully human is to live in relationship with God. That's what we were created for, huh? And through him with one another. And what sin did finally is it separated our first parents from God. They ran away from him. And then from each other. Adam saying, this woman that you gave me, right? Okay, well, that's not so good for the marriage, right? That's what sin does. It absolutely isolates us. It breaks apart relationship. And then we don't know who we are or what we're about. And we're empty, and we try to fill ourselves up by what we do. Doesn't work, does it? In this story today, written down for us, after all, the people that went through this story, did they need it written down for them? No. It was written down for you and for me, for this morning. As Jesus, what he brought those disciples in this account, he brings us. And it seems to me the gift, the resurrection gift that he gave the disciples and us today is this idea of the organic connection of what it means to have success with respect to relationship. So it begins like this. Simon Peter, Thomas, Nathanael, the sons of Zebedee, and two other disciples were together. Now, just before this, it kind of gives you a preview. It says, okay, Jesus is going to appear to his disciples again, right? But really the story begins here. And what do you notice about this? And perhaps you don't, but this time of stuff kind of bangs me upside the head. This is the third time that Jesus will appear, his post-resurrection appearances. And the first time, all the disciples were gathered together on Easter evening, right? And it says, well, Thomas wasn't there, but it's kind of an odd thing. Maybe he went out for a cup of coffee. But all of them were there, and it's presented as kind of odd that Tom wasn't there, right? And then the next week, they're all gathered together, and Tom is there this time, right? That's kind of presented as the norm. But here, things seem to be breaking them apart a little bit. They seem to be going their own ways. See, Jesus told them to wait, right? Wait for Galilee. Wait for me. Wait. They were having trouble doing that. And so there's only 7 of them here. There's only 7 guys there. Where are the rest of them? You know, they're starting to break apart a little bit, it seems to me. And they're saying, they're looking to be filled up. They're looking for identity. They're looking for purpose. And so Peter says this, I'm going out to fish. And the rest of them say, we're going to go with you, right? We're going to go to this thing that's familiar. We know how to fish. You know, this waiting stuff we're not so good at. We know how to fish. So I just got a couple of questions I kind of already talked about a little bit, but why do you think they went fishing? You know, I really do think it was try to find themselves, try to show themselves that they were worth something, huh? I mean, they had a string of defeats here, right? Ran away in the Garden of Gethsemane, a bunch of chickens. They came, all but John came slinking back with Jesus at the cross, but all the rest of them stayed scared. Peter, he did the rooster cluck thing, right? He denied him 3 times, right? That's Peter. These guys had a string of defeats here, right? And so they were trying to find, what would we say in our time? Their self-actualization by doing something. Have you ever done that? Have you ever said, well, I got to go out and do something so I feel better about myself? Have you ever tied your identity, your self-worth to something that you can build, some sandcastle you can make, some achievement you can have? Go ahead. Why do you do it? And when you're in that place, maybe this is the greater question, how's that working for you? you know? Even when you win the Super Bowl, even when you get everything you want, even when you're the greatest achievement that you want, how does that make you feel? Does it fill you up? Or does it leave you cold? Message of God to us today is that if we just live for the what, we'll never be filled up. We'll never be what we were meant to be. We'll always be left out in the cold. But somehow, if we can live in the why of relationship with Jesus, this thing called success, it will just flow out of us because it will be about living with Jesus. So the disciples, they fished all night. I love the media folks. They find these great pictures. I don't know if you heard in the text and read it, but the boat's coming in, and it's early morning. Does that look like early morning? Yeah, they did a good job, huh? So the boats come in early morning. These guys, these professional fishermen, have fished all night, right? They said, we're gonna fix ourselves, right? We're gonna fill ourselves up. We're gonna show ourselves we can do great things. How many fish did they catch? Anybody know? 0, right? Nothing, right? And so Jesus is on the shore. It says that, but that night they caught nothing. Jesus is on the shore, and they're kept from recognizing him, okay? So he's just a guy on the shore. And this is what he says. He says, friends, haven't you any fish? Now, that word friends, it's really interesting. It's not the Greek word for friends. Phileo is the Greek word, that's a verb form, but philios is the word for friends, right? It's not the word friends. It's paidein, which means children. But he's not calling them children. He can't because they're old men, right? So what is the communication here? Yeah, I kind of wrestled with this puppy, and finally I came up with this. You ever watch an English movie, and there's a team, it might be a military team or a soccer team, and the guy says, come on, lads, let's go. You know what I'm saying? Come on, lads, come on, bruds, come on, bros. We're part of the team. That's what Jesus is saying here. He's connecting with them on a personal level. He's connecting them with relationship. They don't know it's Jesus yet. I think this is so important. Jesus is teaching them something. They'll talk about this as the years go by, as they're being persecuted, as one by one they're suffering horrible deaths for the faith, right? Jesus came to us, and he connected with us. He didn't just command us, he connected with us in this way that touched our hearts. Lads, friends, bros. I don't know how you want to say that. Does it make sense in your life? Can you think of a time when okay, I get that, when I was a part of something, and that's what he's communicating here. And the question here, it indicates he knew they didn't have any fish. He expected, no, we didn't get any fish, right? Friends, it's only from this place of relationship that he talks. And this is what he says. He says, throw your net on the right side of the boat and you'll find some. They didn't know it was Jesus yet. Why did they listen to him? I mean, why would these hardened fishermen who fished all night, professional fishermen, did everything they could? I'm sure they were not in good moods, right? And this stranger on the beach is telling them what, to do something? It's because Jesus touched them with relationship. Friends, lads, I'm with you on this. I may didn't fish all night with you, but I'm with you. I'm on this journey with you. I'm in this battle with you. I'm together with you, lads. Throw your nets over here. And they believed him, see? And of course, when they did it, that was immediately full of all these fish. So many fish they couldn't haul into the boat. It says later, 153 large fish. It's trying to impress on us that this was a huge catch of fish, right? And with that, John looks up and he says, it's the Lord. I get it. It's the Lord Jesus. And then you got Peter doing this. He jumps into the water. Why would he do that? I mean, the boy's going fishing, right? He's going out to prove he's a great fisherman. He's got the net full. He's got his wildest dreams. He's fulfilled, right? No, he gets it. All that stuff doesn't mean a thing. It's all about life with Jesus. He turns his back on this great goal he had, on the what. It's not about the what, see? It's about the why. It's about relationship with Jesus. He jumps into the water, and he runs to Jesus. You know, Jesus calls us into this same relationship with him. It's why he went the way of the cross. He wants to rescue us from making life only about a bunch of sandcastles that are here today and gone tomorrow, throwing ourselves into stuff that cannot last and will only disappoint us and leave us empty. He wants to restore us to life the way it was meant to be, the only place that we can really be fully human, so to speak, be what we were created to be, and that's in relationship with God. It's why he went the way of the cross. Through this thing called the forgiveness of sins, and we talk about that, and rarely do we really think about what that is. You know, forgiveness of sins is basically relationship restored. Anyone who's been in a close relationship and you've really fouled up, the only way that puppy's going to get put back together if you say, I'm sorry, and the other person doesn't say, oh, it's okay. No, I forgive you, see? Jesus forgives us before we ever say, I'm sorry. It's already there like on a platter. Trust me, he says. Be connected to me. That's what the cross is all about. And the resurrection, it's God's proclamation that it's all true and that every day we have this new beginning in him, that he's alive, that it's just not a relationship with some God that's dead, but a God that lives and is alive and who wins. It's life the way it was meant to be. That's why Peter was running towards Jesus. He got it. It's not about what I do. It's not about the stuff. It's about God's grace, his undeserved love. It's about the gift that Jesus gives me. And Jesus doubles down on this with the rest of this text. When they landed, they saw a fire of burning coals there with fish on it and some bread. What's Jesus doing? He's making breakfast for them, right? And notice here, he doesn't need the fish they caught. He's already got it on the grill. He's got everything ready. And then he says this. He says, bring some of the fish you've just caught. I'll use what you did. I don't need it, but I'll use it's valuable to me because you guys did it, right? But I really don't need the stuff. I've got the fish and the bread here. Isn't that what you do as a parent? Right? You stick a brush into a young kid's hand and say, here, paint the fence with me, and he gets it all over himself, right? And you say, oh, you did a great job, kid, right? You helped me. Jesus said, bring the fish, we'll use some. But it's not about what you did. It's about you listening to my voice. It's about relationship. Bring some of the fish you just caught. Come and have breakfast. When I was a kid, my dad got up 5:30 in the morning, maybe earlier. He just loved to get up earlier, and he loved big breakfast. He would make himself eggs and bacon and potatoes, and he loved reading the paper. We got the Los Angeles Times every day, and he'd bring the paper in, and he'd have a big breakfast. But if one of us happened to wake up and wander out into the kitchen, I'll never forget this. If I woke up and wandered out in the kitchen, I remember this one morning, he had his breakfast all ready. He was taking his first bite, and he sees me and he says, Brad, and I'm not overplaying this. I'm really not over. Brad, I'm so glad you're up. It's great to see you. Here, come and sit down and have breakfast. I say, Dad, how about this is yours? No, I'll make some more. Come and have breakfast. Read the paper, and then we'll talk after I get done. It's about relationships, see? That stuck with a kid, didn't it? That it wasn't the reading the paper. It wasn't anything. It was about this connection. Jesus says, come and have breakfast. Come and do life with me. Come and receive relationship with me. And he even ties it in a cryptic way, if you will, to the supper we receive together as Christians to this day, to Holy Communion, as he talks about breaking the bread. Life with Jesus is about having breakfast with him every day. Do you have someone in your life you know that with? You love to go have coffee with? Or you love just to sit down and talk over a meal? It's called relationship. It's what Jesus gives us every day. And through that relationship, we live our lives. It's not about the what, but about the why with Jesus. The first Christians knew this. We read that in the first reading. The 3,000 that first came to faith on Pentecost, how did they live their lives? They devoted themselves. Very strong verb, isn't it? Devoting yourself, okay? It's what you're focused on. They devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching. Now we Western Christians, we think, oh, they were in the Word of God. They were in those dead printed words. That's not what this is talking about. Yeah, they were in that word, but they saw it as the living, busy, vital, active Spirit of God is called the sword of the Spirit. They were having breakfast with Jesus when they were in the Word. They were communicating. They were together with Him, see? And with each other, and to the fellowship, see? We in America, somebody comes to faith in Jesus, we say, oh, that's great. It's just Jesus in you, man. It's just Jesus in you. The Bible doesn't know about any Jesus in you, see? You're part of a family. You are made to do a relationship with God and through Him with one another. And we see this in the very first Christians. And they were sealed in this as they celebrated Holy Communion together. And they lived in this. Augustine's called prayer the breath of the soul. They lived in this through prayer. It was all about relationship and being strengthened and growing in that. It wasn't about what they did. It's about who they were and whose they were. It was about relationship. And through all this, as they lived this out, they broke bread in their homes. Notice here, they just didn't come together and worship, leave as if they didn't belong to each other anymore. They continued to be connected in relationship. They broke bread in their homes, ate together with glad and sincere hearts. They had relationship with God, praising Him. And because of this, they enjoyed the favor of everybody, Christians and non-Christians. Because of this, they took this reality of Jesus into their lives and into their world, into their communities, into their homes, into their next door neighbors. And because of that, the text says, the Lord added to their number those who were being saved. It wasn't about being right. It wasn't about the hoops they jumped through, both in their relationship with Jesus and with one another and with the world. It was all about this grace, this relationship that they had with God through Jesus. This is why we talk about this. Go ahead. This is why we talk about this a lot, up in and out. This is not a cute slogan. It's not just nice artwork, though Matt did a great job on that. But for us, this is living and alive. This is what walking with Jesus is all about. A relationship with God, this having breakfast with God, right? Relationship with one another, with our family. This today is all about, in a sense, there's so much here connected to families, right? We know this is good stuff, but we have the family of God that we're connected with. And finally, through Jesus, relationship with all people. This is what we're about. Because this is what Jesus was about. This is the resurrection gift He gives us. The tomb is empty. He's alive, and He calls us to walk in relationship with Him, to have breakfast with Him, and to live in Him every day, and with Him, and through Him with others. So, this week, where are you looking for fulfillment and meaning, for success apart from relationship in Jesus, in the what as opposed to the why, and how's that working for you? By grace through faith, turn away from living life alone and building sandcastles that finally have no meaning and will not last, leaving you empty and unfulfilled. Rather, receive anew, by grace through faith, relationship in Jesus, the resurrected one, letting His voice direct your path, and through Him, relationship with all. Live anew with Him and for Him and through Him for all, for in this is finally the success we long after and the fulfillment we were created for. Throw your nets over here. Come have breakfast. And may God's peace be with you. Amen. As we receive the offering today,